Hi everyone, it's Nicole. Welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to be doing a little felt stitching with the Felt Stitch and Create Felt Carrot Companion. This is one of the 2 spring releases for 2025 in my Felt Stitch and Create collection for Spellbinders. This adorable bunny comes with a carrot, and today I am going to be sharing with you how I stitched up these bunnies, or I'm going to do one of them here on camera and also one of the carrots, but I actually did multiple to make a bunny garland banner for Easter. These dies are absolutely perfect. I am storing all of my dies in the craft stacks from Spellbinders with the magnetic inserts. It makes it fantastic, not only for storing my die pieces, but in between projects, if you die cut all of your pieces one day, and then you want to kind of hold on to everything, you know, you're working on it over a series of several days. I love to just put them in the craft stacks with the dies and all of the little pieces, and then put the lid on it and you can come back to it as needed. I have die cut the felt pieces from the felt as well as some low volume batting. I use warm and white, I think is what I used here. It's scrap batting. Anything will really work. I do find that this low volume batting goes through my die cut machine very easily. And once that is done, I go ahead and cut off the edge of the die with my scissors. It doesn't have to be perfect. This is what I am using as the batting in my projects today. Next, I am taking the front panel of my bunny and I am stitching the tummy portion and the heart. And we are doing a quick little stitch all the way around. Now you will notice that I went ahead and used very soft pastel colors for my stitching for this particular project, but you can truly make it your own and do any kind of color combination you want. Do you want bright peep colored bunnies? You can do that. Do you want your bunnies to be a brown base? You can use the bunnies for things other than Easter. You could do a whole little basket of carrots. The sky is the limit. Absolutely, as always with these, and definitely feel free to mix and match. I will be sharing, I think I kept it in the video. We shall see. I did give my bunnies little bunny poofy pom-pom tails with a felt piece. This felt piece that I am using for their bunny tails is actually not yet available. You can find things similar or even make your own with some scissors, but the die will be coming out as part of my summer release. After I've stitched the heart to the tummy, I am going to go ahead and line it up with the front piece of my bunny. I am going through and just stitching one at a time. Now, because we are making plushes, I am being very aware of the steps, I suppose, to create this. Anything you want stitched on either the front or the back, you want to do that before you put the 2 sides together. I will be sharing another idea of using this particular die set flat, meaning sewing it to another piece of felt or fabric rather than creating a plush. So definitely stay tuned for that as well if you want even more ideas. Now, I like to go all the way around, up and down every other stitching hole, and then I go around again. In this case, it worked out best that I just reversed it. So again, I'm going up and down each and every stitching hole. I also did this for the heart on the front. And this makes it very easy. All of the holes line up to show you exactly where the pieces go. I do like to keep these steps in the videos for you guys so you can see the process, the creation process from start to finish. I did speed it up just a little. If you want to, you can definitely click the little gear button here on YouTube, slow it down, and speed it up to your preferred speed. When I'm finished, I like to just run my needle through the back. I'm just running it through a few quick stitches to secure it, and then we'll snip that. So there is the front piece of that. Let's go ahead and work on the front of the bunny head. You will notice on the front of the bunny head, there are holes to help you line up the bunny ear layering piece. And we are going to start stitching this up and down every other one, just like before. Again, for the head of the bunny, this is also where you would really want to stitch all of the components for the face before you stitch the two head pieces together. Now, something about this set that I think is really important to mention, not only are you getting the bunny and the carrot, but if you choose to, you could use the bunny head only, and you could just make cute little bunny head tags to tie to gifts or to Easter baskets, all kinds of cute things. So really lots and lots of ways to customize it and make it your own. After I have stitched on one of the insides of the ears, I will go around and do the second one. Right now, I am stitching the little bow that comes in this set together. And it is 3 pieces, like a little button, the tails of the bow, and then the bow itself. And then I'm adding the stitching detail. For this particular plush project, I chose to stitch the bunny bow individually instead of stitching it to the bunny. I just found that worked the best for this, but play around with it if you want to. You can stitch it to the bunny, absolutely. And then we're just going to secure it on the back. We will be using a little bit of hot glue. You could also use a liquid glue if you want to secure that to our bunny once the assembly is complete. For the body of the bunny, we are going to sandwich that batting that we trimmed up at the beginning in between the front and the back panels. Then we are simply going to stitch them together. I started at the back and I started up at the top. That part will be sandwiched between the two head pieces, and so I don't worry too much about it. I just want to start and stop here because this is going to be the perfect place to hide my knot. And again, up and down every other stitching hole around the perimeter of the bunny body. I chose a creamy white. I think this is a little bit of an off-white color for my bunnies today. A very, very soft peach, pink, and yellow, as well as a very soft blue for the wonderful pastel colors. You could make your banner as long or short as you want. I did 3 bunnies and 4 carrots. Is that correct? I believe for this, we will show it here in a minute. There are lots of fun ways to finish this. I am going to be stringing all of my felt pieces on some twine along with some wood beads. This is a great opportunity to take other crafty products that you may have in your stash and combine them to customize. You could even customize your felt pieces with buttons, ribbons, and other embellishments that you may already own if you so choose. As we come around to the top of this, we again are just going to stitch all the way around again, filling in every other hole. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the stitching. I generally choose to stitch exactly like you're seeing here. You can also do a blanket stitch around your felt pieces if you like that look better. You can also leave it every other one depending on what you're stitching and the look you're going for. Sometimes stitching every other one around the perimeter of a felt piece is a really fun, different look. I'll be exploring some of those other kinds of stitching styles in future projects. Today, we kept it pretty simple just by going up and down each and every stitching hole. And as I'm coming around, look at how beautifully finished this gives our bunny. I already did this for the other two bunnies in this little banner, just choosing to stitch one of them on camera as each of them are stitched exactly the same, just switching up the colors used for each. If you own any of the previous Felt Stitch and Create dies and you want to incorporate maybe some of those other pieces from those sets into your spring stitching, the florals are always a great idea. You can pull little hearts or heart buttons from some of those other sets as well, or you can use the heart from this set with some of those. You could definitely add this heart to the felt snowy owl, the reindeer, the fox, any of those images or felt pieces, and I think that would be adorable. Once I get back to the beginning, I am going to tie that off to finish. Now that we have the body of our bunny done, I am going to go ahead and go around that second ear really quickly. Now it's time to make some decisions on the face of the bunny. I've decided I am going to stitch with a light tan color rather than a harsh black. With all of these super soft pastel colors that I'm using, I felt like the black might be a little too harsh. I'm stitching in the mouth area of our bunny. We will be using the felt cheeks and nose by hot gluing those in place right onto our bunny's face. You could choose to stitch all of those if you prefer. There's a lot of cute ways you could do that. Now there are dies for the eyes. I opted today to not do that, and instead I am going to do some French knots for the eyes using the same color of thread that I used for the mouth. Again, I had tried some black on one of the previous bunnies I stitched, and I just felt like it was a little too harsh for what I wanted for this particular bunny. I often will do the eyes with French knots as opposed to using the super small little circle dies, but it's completely personal preference. Once I'm finished, I am just going to tie this off on the back, and then we can stitch the bunny face front to the bunny back. Now you may notice that the batting piece that I have for the bunny head does not have the ears. You could choose to leave the ear, very carefully cut the ears and leave a little stuffing in the ears. I decided they're pretty narrow and I don't think it'll make much of a difference. So I actually opted not to, and I just used the circle. Starting down near the base of the bunny head, I am starting in between the layers, and I am going to then do exactly as I did before and stitch all the way around every other stitching hole, and then I will stitch all the way around again. The difference being is for this, I do want to hide the knot. This is why I started in between the two layers of felt. Make sure and reference the Felt Carrot Companion introductory video for more details on this particular step, or any of my other Felt Stitch and Create videos, especially the introductory videos where I share how to stitch these shapes into plushes. A lot of times that first time around is the most time consuming, just making sure that you are lining up the stitching holes appropriately. My goal anytime I am stitching one of these is to make sure that I am hitting every single stitching hole and it's lining up on the front as well as the back. If by chance your thread tends to go wonky or it goes wonky with one stitch, catching it early, carefully pulling that out, and then restitching it is definitely the way to go. Especially with a dimensional plush where you are seeing the back of the piece, I like to take a little more time. You'll notice I I am right-handed, so with my left hand, I hold the project. I flip it back and forth, checking that I am lining up. Once I get going, I can start to feel the stitching holes, and I don't have to look as much. Tight corners, or when you're making a turn, I often will double check. It's coming together. Now, you might be wondering, where is his nose and those cheeks that you mentioned? I decided to go ahead and wait to add those until after I have his head stitched, and maybe stitched to the body as well. We're coming around. And you'll notice I didn't start at the very center bottom of the head. This is on purpose. I used a binder clip to hold my layers together, but also serve as a reminder to not stitch all the way around quite yet. Remember how I talked about with the body of the bunny? I didn't mind where I left the knot because the head is going to go over the body piece. I am going to slip the body of the bunny in between these layers before finishing the stitching. As I'm coming close down here to the bottom, I will stop and we're going to grab the rest of our bunny. I'm going to carefully place the body of the bunny between the two head layers, clip that in place, and we are going to resume stitching. Now, with all of these layers, it is essential that I flip this back and forth, making sure I am lining up those stitching holes. This is how you attach the bunny head to the bunny body very easily. Something I want to caution you is be careful to not pull your stitches super tight. Felt will rip. And you do have to be kind of careful. I do feel it's one of those things that gets easier the more you do it and the more you practice. So as I am stitching this, and if you do accidentally tear a stitching hole, which I have done on many a finished project, I generally try to disguise it and just be really careful in that one area, and I keep on going. Most of the time, it is not going to hinder the finished result. Okay, once I have that stitched, I'm going to, as I mentioned, go all the way around again. We are getting close to finishing up the bunny and then moving on to the adorable carrot. I cannot wait to show you this cute little carrot. To me, this little carrot makes the perfect addition to all of your Easter bunny stitching. I even think the carrot would be adorable on its own. Let me know in the comments if you want me to maybe work on some additional felt stitching projects using the carrot only, or maybe using just the head of the bunny only. I always love to hear from you guys what you would like to see more of. Other ideas for embellishing your felt pieces. I know I've mentioned these in the past, but if this is your first felt stitching video, I do want to mention it here as well. Sequins, seed beads, as I mentioned earlier, buttons, ribbons that you may have. You could even use a fabric stiffener product like Terial Magic or other similar products to stiffen your fabric. You could die cut your fabric, add fabric patches. There are many, many ways to take your felt pieces and customize them and turn them into heirlooms and wonderful things that you could have in your family and in your decor for years to come. That's one of my favorite things about felt stitching is that we are taking a product dies that have been crafted for the paper crafting world, and they also work for felt. And then you can take this textile product, the felt, and die cut it with your dies to easily create wonderful family type decor things for your home and for your loved ones. Another idea for this bunny is I do think the bunny banner would be adorable in a baby nursery. So maybe you just want to string a bunch of little bunnies together and make a little bunting or banner. Oh, I think it would be precious. Okay, as we came around, I did slip in between the two layers and I went ahead and tied that off. Using some glue, I am using this little yellow piece here and gluing it down in place, adding some glue in the center, and then gluing our little bow right there in place. That little felt quote unquote ribbon really hides the seam where the two meet, although I still think it looks cute as is, and you could totally replace this with an actual ribbon if you prefer. I love this little detailed glue pin, and I am using an embellishment wand. I will link both down below. It makes it easy to pick up the little tiny nose piece and the cheeks and add them right to our bunny. Look at that face. How adorable is that? Sandwiching the batting in between our two carrot pieces, you will notice I am not starting at the very top of my carrot either. I am starting over to the side just a little bit, leaving a tail, starting in between the two layers, and stitching my way around the carrot, every other stitching hole. Now, the exception is there are some stitching holes in the carrot. Wanting to make sure that it looks as cute on the front as the back, as I come to each of those lines in the carrot itself, and I will be very detailed in the introductory video for this particular set here on my channel, I would go across the stitching, every other come back, and I was just making sure that the stitching is looking as good on the front as the back. And now I'm going to go every other one. So we're filling in those little stitching holes across. Yes, you may have to go through the batting if you choose to use it. You totally could skip that step if you want to. It'll make your carrot a little thinner, but that is no big deal. Or you could even cut 3 layers of the carrot and stitch them together to make it nice and have it be nice and stuffed. Polyester fiberfill is another option for this. I just love the batting as it's kind of nice and thin. It doesn't stretch the stitching holes at all, and it provides enough padding for me anyway. As I come around the other side, just like we did when we attached the head to the body of the bunny, this time we have the carrot topper, which is this wonderful little fringe piece. I like to fold mine in half. I don't like it perfectly in half. This is going to ensure that our little carrot topper doesn't line up exactly. Now you could fold it exactly in half too. It's completely personal preference. Sandwiching it in between the 2 layers of the carrot, we are then going to stitch across the top of the carrot, securing our carrot topper in place. For me, this carrot topper is one of the best parts of this set, as I feel like it adds this wonderful, tactile, very dimensional kind of finish. If you have a small basket or bowl, you could put tons of these little carrots in it, and I think it would be the cutest little bowl filler. Okay, we are coming around, and again, I am just going to stitch every other hole again. Now, I may have forgot to stitch some of the little straight lines. I can't tell. Either that or I cut it out. But again, you just want to make sure you're stitching all of those. I love the detail that the Spellbinders designers put in here for me for this set. I think the more that you can add to these pieces, the more interesting and the more beautiful they are. I love, love, love this so much. Yes, here we're going to stitch them. So as I'm coming around, I'm making sure that I am stitching each of these. And then finishing or continuing on. I just made sure and matched my DMC floss to what I was stitching. I meant to mention this earlier. I think I used just a creamy white mostly for all of the other stitching. I may have matched it to those light colors. Honestly, you guys, I don't spend tons of time figuring out my floss. that might be controversial. But what I do, I have a lot of DMC, but I tend to just see if I have something close that will work, and I just go for it. I find more often than not that works out really well for me. I would caution, and if you're using leftover floss, I use leftover floss all the time. If you are using leftover floss and it's a fairly big project and you have multiple of the same image or a big image to stitch, use the same color. It will be noticeable if you change colors partway through. So I would caution about that, but otherwise, I don't think it matters a whole lot what color of floss you use. It all ends up being absolutely stunning. Okay, as we come around and finish off, we are going to slip it in between the two layers and tie it into a little knot that then hides in between the two layers of the felt. We're going to snip that really close, and there we go. Let's go ahead and make this bunny banner now. I personally love to use a nice kind of thin-ish twine, and I looked through my stash and I decided to use this more natural color. I auditioned a few different ones. My preference are these doll needles. Doll needles you can get inexpensively at a craft store, or you can pick them up on Amazon. I will provide a link down in the description below if you're interested. And they feed through the felt so easily. So you'll notice that I fed my carrot right through that. Next, I am going to use these wood beads. Funny enough, these were something I had purchased for a different project that they didn't work out for, but I had, of course, held on to them. These also I will link to on Amazon, which is where I picked them up. And when I picked them up, or when I was contemplating this project, I was like, what is going to work? And really quickly, I didn't like where my bunny was, so I took the needle off and pulled him off. Let me rethread the needle. I'm going to put it through the neck. That's just a personal preference. It doesn't matter really. But I think it's going to lay a little nicer right here. But I am putting about 3 of these wood beads in between each. Other options are the wool felt balls. Those would be adorable. You could do decorative wood beads. I love those for different projects, but I love these natural beads. Again, I had them in my stash, but I felt like they really were the perfect companion to this project because they kind of just blend into it and let the bunnies and the carrots be the stars of the show as I wanted them to be. You'll notice that I am doing a carrot, 3 beads, a bunny, 3 beads, a carrot. Again, I am repeating this over and over. I must have saw a little hot glue I didn't like. Okay, we're going to carefully peel off his nose, and I'm going to fix that. Okay, just pretend I must have got distracted when I was making this. We're going to go ahead, thread through the top of the carrot. I do try to make sure I am going through the 2 layers, burying or hiding my twine in between those. And you guys, you could do this with any of the felt stitching dies. Here's the yellow-ish bunny that we just created a minute ago with the yellow bow and heart. We're going to add in those wonderful wood beads, finish our carrot, and then I'm going to show you how I finish it and make little loops at the end to make this hangable. So if you want to hang it on your fireplace or from some bookshelves or whatever, you could do that very easily. I'm going to add a few more beads to this other end. I liked leaving it at the beads, and I'm going to show you why. When I get to the end, I'm going to feed my doll needle just through that bead at the very end. And I'm going to go ahead and pull my needle off. I'm leaving a little loop. Be careful you don't pull it through. And I am going to wrap the end of my twine around and secure that in a knot. We are securing it around that final bead so that everything doesn't just go sliding off, especially the beads. The felt's not going to go sliding off very easily, but the beads would. So I'm just going to knot that and secure it, kind of just snip kind of close to the end. Oh, that looks so cute. And I did that to the other end, and here is our finished banner. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for the Felt Stitch and Create Carrot Companion Bunny and Carrot banner. The dies and the supplies I used are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much for joining me today for another paper crafting tutorial. I love being able to share with this incredible community of crafters. I want to give a huge shout out and special thank you to my amazing Patreon members. If you're interested in joining Patreon, please click the link in the description underneath the video here on YouTube. Patreon is a private community where you can support more of what I do. There is exclusive content, information, and behind-the-scenes content. Top-tier members will receive a handmade birthday card during your birthday month, access to D-Stash, and monthly exclusive lives, plus so much more. We would love to have you join our growing community.